Hello, I'm Zach, and I'm here to show you what to expect when you receive your BH Aerolight TT frame set. So first, showing up on your door, it's going to be a large brown box labeled BH. Now this box is secured with numerous staples on the top. Now I've actually opened this one because this is my second take on the video. Apologize for that. But you just pop those open. I'll also secure this with tape before shipping it too, just as a backup to prevent it from opening. Right on the top, you're going to see a box of spare parts. So this is also taped up normally. Again, I've opened it. And in here are numerous things. First, seat post, well wrapped up. We'll go ahead and put that in our work stand. Now all the parts of the frame, fork, and seat post are wrapped in bubble wrap and foam padding to prevent any damage. There we go. I'll hold that. Now also in here, you're going to see quite a few parts. So bottom bracket, this is an FSA press fit 386 bottom bracket, which is native to the frame. Comes with the bike. You don't always get that with Frameset, so it's quite nice. Also in here are adapters. So these adapt the press fit 386 to a 24mm axle. So this bottom bracket and frame right out of the box is going to fit numerous cranks. Basically anything except for Campagnolo and except for BB30. Now we'll fit Campagnolo with a different bottom bracket. BB30 is not going to fit this frame, but everything else will. GXP, Shimano 24, anything FSA has that's not BB30. You're also going to get brakes, both front and rear. So it's also a great addition here because you don't have to purchase brakes separately. So that right there is just a few $100s in savings. It has every part for the brakes that you're going to need here, and also in this bag, the brake posts. Plus in here is going to be a couple cable rub protectors to help prevent the frame from scratching, and a tube of carbon paste. Now you're always going to want to use carbon paste when assembling carbon parts. So you're going to put that, a very thin layer, on the seat posts and inside the seat tube as well. We also get a Ritchie style 1-bolt seat post clamp. So quite a lightweight seat post clamp. It installs right here on top of the seat post. And you'll notice there's a lot of fore-aft adjustment, inches of fore-aft adjustment. So you can run it really far back in a UCI legal TT position like the Pro Tour guys do, or you can run it really far forward for very steep over the crank position, open up your hip angle for triathlon, anywhere in between. You also get your headset top cap, and numerous spacers. And I'll show you how these fit into the frame later because they're quite special. You also get your stem. So we'll come back to this in a moment. Right underneath there is the frame itself. Now this is cradled in a few different pieces of cardboard. And it's a nice tight fit with the box. So first off, there's an extra piece around the back to prevent the rear dropout area from getting damaged. There's also a piece on the front which will stay down in the box, which is designed to cradle the head tube area, prevent any damage there. Now the frame is held in this cradle at the bottom by a dowel going through the bottom bracket. This is going to keep the frame from shifting side to side and causing any damage. So I'm going to pop that loose. Now again, the frame is wrapped in bubble wrap and also lots of foam packaging. There's also a brace in the rear dropout area here to prevent the frame from getting squished, breaking the carbon. We'll set that aside. Insert the post into the seat tube. Again, you always want that friction paste. And let me get my tool. I also always recommend a torque wrench. Now I'm just going to kind of get this together, barely tighten it just to hold it in the work stand for you so you can see it. Obviously we're not going to ride like this. You're always going to want to use a torque wrench. Torque this to 5 Newton meters. No more, because you risk crushing the carbon, and obviously no less or it'll slip for you. So we'll just barely get it snug there. Now, as you can see, everything is protected by foam padding. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. This was down in this position here. I'm going to go ahead and take it off. See, it's a really smooth matte finish. Very little relief on the decals. They are in the paint. Just some fine detailing here. BH logos, the Aero name on top. Pretty simple. So a little baggy with multiple cable stops in it, both mechanical brake and shift cable stops, as well as Di2 cable stops and blank cable stops. So right out of the box, this is ready to go for mechanical Shimano Di2, Campagnolo EPS, or SRAM ETAP. Note a few things on the frame that make this really pretty special. BB386 bottom bracket with a bare carbon shell. It's quite strong, so you can press the bottom bracket into it without fear of breaking it. They'll always do that very gently. No excess pressure is needed. Also a bare carbon front derailleur mount. These are things that have been learned by BH in the production of their ultralight road frame set, which before it went disc brake was one of the lightest mass-produced frame sets around. Still, even with disc brakes, it is quite light. Also, bare carbon headset races, so your bearings are sit straight on carbon, no metal pressed in there to gain weight. Also, inset brake mounts, so those brakes that I showed you earlier actually sit right into this little cavity right here, sitting flush with the frame tube. It also does that on the fork, which I'll show you in a moment. Really neat thing about that is it gives you a very aerodynamic package with a strong braking action and keeps the brakes out of the bottom bracket area, which tend to just get wet, packed with sand, and end up corroding. So way better there. Also bare carbon dropouts on both the frame and the fork, also to keep the weight down. I'll show you the fork, which is packed very neatly into that lower box that the frame was cradled in. So that also has some extra cardboard and foam protecting it. And then the fork sitting right down in there. So a foam block to prevent the dropouts from getting smashed, and more bubble wrap and foam padding to protect it from damage. Now, I always recommend assembly of your frame by a qualified bike mechanic. If you want to do it yourself, careful here, cutting the steer, which as you can see, as most frame sets come, it's uncut. You want to measure more than twice before you cut. Wrap your cut in tape, like electrical tape, and mark on it. That's going to prevent the carbon from splaying out. And use a fine-tooth hacksaw with a guide to get a nice straight cut. That's not going to break the fibers, but instead cut them. So you're going to see, again, the inset brake area. So the brake arms sit nicely in that cavity. And once installed, you get a nice tight interaction between the fork leg and the down tube. So again, excellent aerodynamics there. If by any chance you cannot get to a bike mechanic to get this cut and you feel qualified to do the rest of the build, I don't want that to stop you from purchasing one of these frames. So talk to me and we'll discuss how long you want this to be, and I'll cut it for you. It is always best to do that once you have the frame in hand, can start building it and decide where you want your base bar to be. But again, I don't want that to stop you from enjoying one of these bikes, so let me know if I can cut this for you. Now, I want to show you something else about this stem that makes it very unique, and that is, once installed, it sits right into the frame. So just a top cap, no spacers. You'll see that the stem flows directly into the frame itself, into the top tube for very clean lines. Now, if you do want your stack height to be a little bit higher, you can definitely do that. The spacers supplied also have this shape, so they flow directly into the top tube. This step here can easily be taken up by a bolt-on bento box, which there are two, in-molded, threaded receivers for like a profile design bento box that can easily take up that gap right there and make it flow into the top tube as well. So I think you'll see you have a very complete package, an incredibly fast setup for an incredible value. If you don't know much about BH, they have, they're actually the second largest Spanish manufacturer right behind Orbea. Now they have a pretty small distributor here in the US, so you don't see them around too much, but in Europe and especially Spain, they are a major player. They have been using both the Aerolight and a couple other models in the Tour de France and other world tours. Plus there have been multiple Kona qualifiers and pros running BH in the past. So I really hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy your new BH Aerolight frame set.